I want to connect the charts here to the real world by printing out these black and white charts. So I created a template with black handles, 100 pips, and I kept, except for the blue line there, which I'm just using as my trends and channels and stuff like this, is the weekly charts with, I'm only looking back, I guess, about 6 months. And what I did was just put a 1 period moving average really fat on top of the just the bars, the bar charts that came with MetaTrader. So I haven't added anything fancy on there, but you can see a lot of damage done to people's positions if they're trying to ride these perfect structures on the closing prices. They're just gorgeous. I mean, it's just like in your face. Here's where you get in. Here's where you get out. And so the thing is, if you're trying to set up for next week's entry and looking for ripe, juicy places to get in for a huge swing that may take 5 weeks to complete, then you're on the weekly chart, I think. Of course, the weekly chart would not trade like, you wouldn't trade that the way you would if this was a 1 hour chart. Like if this is a 1 hour chart, you're typically going to be getting in really close to the market. Here, if you miss the train, or if you miss that amazing entry, and if these were 1 hour trades, you'd already be out of the trade in like, or just think about how many bars, right? 5 bars on here is 5 weeks, 5 hours on a 1 hour chart, you're out. You're out of the trade. You just made so much money in such a short period of time. Just get out. And who cares if it keeps going? It's, if that's bothering you, just go trade something else. Or just go trade a demo now. That's one of those things, if you're an addict or if you're, of course, anybody who's, maybe not anybody, but a perfectionist typically are, people say, well, you're a workaholic. Yeah, but you know what? You have to keep on dialing it in. You can only get better. There's not this wall you get to and you're like, yeah, I figured that out. I mean, if you're a person that welds frames on the car, you can always get better solder. You can always get better regulation on the electrodes. You can always get better. There's always a little bit better gear, and there's always a little bit better finesse and technique. And the finesse is the, I guess, what separates the people that can get the extra, like when you buy audio gear, right? You can get a piece of equipment that you just say, that sounds pretty good. To make it sound 5% better, it costs 3 times as much in the audio world. I mean, for people to even tell it sounds better, it could be like an audio placebo where because it looks such a gorgeous piece of equipment, they're just like, this thing's going to sound good. Same thing happens in these charts when you say, look at this pattern, and then people will overemphasize that setup, saying, well, the market's going to do what it did before. It repeats itself. You see this all the time where people they're looking for stuff that makes sense. You can't blame them. So they'll take the history of the crash at 1920 and they'll cue it on top of the thing, and look, we're mirroring that. It's going to unfold just like it did before. I mean, is this the most ridiculous, childish approach to the world? Like, oh, really? So when the sun comes up in the morning, that's why I'm winning in the market. Because on cloudy days, I'm not winning. You could distort all of this stuff, and I don't really keep track of my, some guy asked me once, what's the R&R, risk-to-reward ratio on there, whatever. I was like, I don't keep track of that stuff, right? Because I'm just like I'm just an artist. I'm just a musician. I don't really have this strict financial, like a pencil behind my ear. Now, if I had somebody like that was in the back room and they were saying, you know what, you're trading you're not making any money. You might be having fun, but you really should be making more money based on you want to make 20% a week, or you want to make 20% a month, or whatever, 100% a month, 100% a week, 100% a day. If that's your target. And we've seen these markets do the same drama over and over, and thinking, why didn't we get in there? Well, usually if you're fundamentally trading the stuff, you're going to just say, I'm not getting in there. You're crazy. It's good. It's going down. Who's buying? Well, you know, they're putting this stuff on sale, and the faster it goes up and the faster it goes down, the less likely that's to be sustainable. And when it does move fast and hard and it pauses and it doesn't go down, something's up. Well, on the weekly here, I'd be selling on scalps on the dollar yen. So I think that's an obvious setup here. Now I'll start over. Just start over from scratch and just ask yourself, in the horizontal world, is this support? Like, this is the only way I can even I cannot even imagine putting Ikamusha on here. I mean, I love that. Like, that's like a toga party in your brain. I mean, who's got the room to process? I even heard a guy talk about the 50, and it looks so cool. He put it on the screen. He goes, when the market's above the 50 SMA, I'm only a buyer. When it's below, I'm only a seller. Okay, but not on the 5-minute chart, right? Maybe not on the 1-minute chart, because you've been spent too much time above the 50, too much time below. How much pressure can these markets go under? And really, what is totally out of whack, unfair value, either up or down, and what is consolidating? And I put up 8 panels because I got 7 majors, and I had to put the euro yen on the lower right hand corner to balance out the my perfectionistic tendencies of having everything squared off. And I also fixed the scale here because this is the weekly chart. I'm not worried about them running this off. Like, if this is a 1-minute chart, I'd have to be like, what just happened? Like, you'd have to resize that puppy. But when you're living in this world and you don't really care, you're just trying to make, say, 50 pips, and that's not it. That's not like a hard task, is it? Risk 20 to make 50. That should be a doable trade. Maybe you have to go to the guppy for that trade to have that happen in 1 hour for you. So maybe you have to switch. But this is a weekly standpoint. I had to refresh the time frame just to pick up these. But notice the lack of look at the respect this market has for the round number. Now, I know these Fibonacci people, and I just constantly on the internet bitching and making bad comments. So I don't even know if anybody's aware of all the bad comments I make. I'm ruthless, because you know what? If I'm watching something, that was the whole point of the internet, and people would say you're trolling, and I'm like, and this Jason Greystone guy is cracking me up. I mean, there was a guy once that I posted this music video of Santana, and the guy said, that's a great tune. I wish it was available in our country. And I know what happens when you click on certain stuff by Sony. You'll see this thing come up, say it's not. You could watch that, but it's not available in your country. So I just made a joke, and jokes don't go very well on the internet. I just said, maybe your countrymen are just keeping you from getting hurt. They're just protecting you. He goes, what do you know about my countrymen? And I'm like, oh boy, here we go. So yeah, you can't joke around, and that's why it's tough to write stuff. And I'm not joking when I tell people that they're absolutely wrong, but I'm only saying in the terms of reality, the world I live in, where people live and die and stuff actually happens, and your car breaks, and just stuff really happens, and people are actually having surgeries, and there's a lot of really, all these, I don't understand why the liberals aren't a little more, they should just figure that they're putting out so many good vibes that what are they complaining about? So, anyways, back to this market stuff. So really, if you're only looking at 8 pairs like this on the weekly, looking back 6 months, how can you screw this up? You can't. You shouldn't. Of course, you're not going to get a lot of fills on here. I'm going to warn you right now. But you got 8 pairs going, so you're going to get your fair share, right? So look at the respect here. Forget Fibonacci. Look at this thing. Come on, right at the 100 within a few pips of that? What's the chance? Now look at just the whole history of this. Just in a pip world. Come on. Can you see a top? The first top you mark off is here. Does that become a bottom? It's crazy, right? this is Trading for Dummies, right? I mean, you've seen these Trading for Dummies books. Is that now here's a bottom. Is that going to be a trap for people that are buying on the way up? Can you draw an uptrend line? Yes. So, yeah, it broke it, but this is no different than, and of course, this is a fixed moving average. So if you chose a moving average of 50, this 50 SMA thing, it looks like this, right? I mean, this is not rocket science. And then this is a perfect pivot. Look at bottom. How many times have we seen this one? Quadruple bottom becomes a top on the break. Huh? Yeah, because the people that thought that trend line was going to hold, they're like, we're like kind of wrong. Not to mention, look at this beautiful doji here. Any flat spots? So this should be, and you can, what the point of this chart is to take this and print it out and get a, you got to feel the market. Well, I'm just speaking for myself now. You got to feel, wow, this is a big deal. And this is the 100 pip. Now, when they come back up into that, it does reject it, but this game's coming to an end. Besides, what's the next trade? Well, always look at this thing, man. There's a doji right here. Do you have buy limits sitting here? Well, of course. You gotta wait, like, only 2 months to get filled. But look at that fucking trade. Are you serious? Look at this entry. And look at this bottom become a... Huh? I can't believe it. Now, when it goes into a serious momentum run, like it's doing here, now, this is child's play. And the reason why you want to print these out is because you want to take a ruler in the real world and draw it on there and just go. And you feel what the market's... the true momentum is this line. This is the most accurate, updated piece of information. This is like when your car is falling apart and the frame starts to rust. What happens is, okay, in the most strong position, structurally strong position of this market ever was can we hold this trend line? So we didn't. We almost got that perfect setup where this came back to here and then down again. But for the internal structure, like when they build bridges, because I'm having to weld my car now, so I refuse to buy one of these shit cars they have now. They have so many stupid, retarded, like, we're going to help you and lock your doors for you. I'm like, great. They just locked me out of the car. This is the upper truss that makes the bridge work. Like, you can't just do a bridge, right? So you have this upper support that's keeping a pressure, like coming in like this. So if you really are a structure trader, you have to think about, well, this is a structure. And what is the internal part of that bridge? That upper trusses are going to be the inside trend line, that all the ones that you can draw. So as you see that bridge, all those pressure points stacking up on the internal cavity, this is going to be one. Right? Look at them ride that puppy, break out and spill back out. And every place you can draw one of these now, if you do it with a ruler, you'll start to see this rollover effect, this internal cave in. The bridge is starting to cave in. Now look how perfectly these 3 points, momentum-wise, touch this top. I'm presupposing, unfortunately, that somebody is waiting. Now this is a Stapleton entry. This is how, like, he would sell here based on the day that we're here. He would place a sell limit up there. But you have to ask yourself, on the way there, is there a chance to get in on the break of this triple top, kind of breakout, comeback failure? But the same thing can be said for this this truss system here, is that the same is true on a cave-in. So when this cave-in point happens, you see the precise moment this triple breaks out, comes find support again. It's clear as the nose above your lip, right? So, and when you drill down like this, all of a sudden the whole world changes as far as, now if you're an impatient person like myself, you're like, wow, now, because I'm looking back quite a few years now. Well, I'll go back 2 years. But I'm like, okay, let's get down on this puppy. Now, what would ever matter to you, ever in your life, if you couldn't trade the left side of the chart, which you can't, they won't let you, is notice these, notice this a big deal here, and then they come up and tag that, but being aware of the fact that the close here, if you sold here and you're locked in this week, and your target is a retest of this, you made your target and then some. But your risk was this. You risked 100. It only took 2 weeks for you to make 400 pips there. Not bad. This is a big deal. When you see this poking up here, and look at how they nicked that thing. That's the window. That's the edge. That's the window. Now here, it would have been more perfecter if we had this set up, where we come back into that, and it's just like, oh yeah. I mean, this is like when you're skipping stones on the water and you get that fifth skip, you're like, yes. But that's the end of the trend, right? You're like, that's it, it's over, your luck is run out, as people would say. And luck only happens to people that are in the market. You have to have a chip on the board. It doesn't have to be big, but to take advantage of any type of fluctuation in your favor, you have to have something in there. Okay, I hope I'm not being too ridiculous in my presentation. I'm just bouncing all over, but the thing is that, well, do these things work, Can you build a structure in this Japanese market has these ungodly perfect triangles where, if you take this concept of triangle breakouts to another market, you're never going to see it look that good. I am so sorry. I remember when people were shorting into this. It reminds me of people trying to short the stock market right now. It's just psychotic. You can really see it on here. Some guy commented in a video that I did a long time ago, just this naked trading, and I mean, this sadly it's all it is. It's these psycho high pressure compression pullback windows like this, these launching pads, and if you're trading this development of that triangle, that went on for quite some time, and then at the apex here, you're like, oh my god. I mean, this is literally the most perfect. And of course, on the weekly, everything looks beautiful, and there's less places to draw pivots. This is why it's so clean. You don't have the chance to get too carried away with this stuff, see? That's the beauty of it. And keeping things simple, man. Do not step out into these psycho worlds. Look at this 1, 2, 3, 4. It's a quad internal. Now, on the bridge analogy, this is the part of the bridge that you don't see. This is the whether it was cold rolled or hot rolled steel, and so yeah, I'm having to I'm just so angry. I just refuse to participate in these bozos who are, people want $100 an hour. I go, dude, you don't even know your own name. You want $100 an hour for your gig? I'm not paying you $100 an hour. This is why I would never let anybody manage my money. I could fuck it up. I have people try to tell me that they were a member of Mensa, and they lost 20 grand trading. My God, this is back when trading real currency options. And of course, the time decay in those puppies, they charge you $250 commission on these trades. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. Yeah, so no wonder they wanted Forex to leave. Yeah, because the little guy can actually have his own bank. You can have your own bank. You can own your own bank. But I don't think you want to have $1,000 bills in your drawer, because when people come in, they're going to go, you know what, buddy? I'm not a millionaire, so I'll see you later. And this is the problem. Okay? This is the problem with all these people like saying all this stuff. The banks. Dude, be your own bank. Shut up. That's the only thing I agree with Greg Marino on. Be your own bank, dude. Look at these entries. Look at this this coinky dink. Look at that. Come on. internal structure points. Yeah, this bridge is made up of all this crap. And you mark all this stuff off, and you see that congestion point. You see, look at this failure. All the bulls were like, the people that really drill down, or the market's just, you're drilling down on Mother Nature here. Now this is a little bit skewed. This is not a perfect horizontal line, but this is a momentum launching pad. It was supposed to be, where we come back here, we touch, and then lift off out of the triangle, right? Who wasn't thinking that? And the market was not consolidated enough. In the Wyckoff trading theory, it's called the composite operator. Now, what they mean by this is, and this is what I have to assume because there's very little on Wyckoff, that he was the guy before the Gartley guy who stole his rig. But, you know, and so inside this structure here is what's really going on. There's very detailed congestion all of there. And if you come out of these fractals into the future, right off what's happening now, there's no symmetry battling here. Okay, now if you're a geometry inflection point trader, which is supposedly what these triangle, I mean, it looks cute. I'm gonna tell you, it looks really cute. But look at these. I'll try to turn off the chart shift here so we can drill down. Look at this thing, right? Come on. Now, it's a very complex triangle, but you could have traded it and you could have realized that this is going to complete at some point. We cannot go into these congestion zones that long. And will this be a future inflection point? And when you print this out on paper, the one thing you can do on paper, which you can't do on this computer right now, when you move this over, it snaps. So unless it snaps right to where you want it, you gotta start taking it in like this, and it gets all squirrely. And I mean, if you're a perfectionist, and here you can actually, like a ruler 2, you could put the node here. So if you're a cycle guy, or you're you expect that cycle to be the same width as the last one, you know that node there should be a turning point or something. And of course, that's a whole nother myth, like Fibonacci. I mean, I could randomly put lines in here and go, look, it turned around there. Yeah, well, did it go up or down off of that? You know, saying the market has cycles is like saying, well, yeah, I'm on the backbeat. Oh, I'll never get lost in the song you're playing. I can't get rid of this stupid object here. So that's the wrong color for that puppy. So yeah, you're just connecting the dots here. Here's another point. You can draw the line here, and then we form another kind of what some would call a sloppy triangle here. But this is still tradable, and you have to go what the market's doing. You have to adapt to the market's terrain. Beautiful double mountain becomes a double valley, and once again, just before we leave the station, you get the Elliott wave language. This would be 1, and then so that's 1, and then 2, then 3 is the biggest wave, right? 4 consolidation, and then 5. And this is the problem with the Elliott wave, is that some people are going to go, well, no, this is 1, this is 2, this is 3. 3 has to be the biggest wave. So if you are an Elliott waveologist, well, at least the Bill Williams Elliott wave theory, which seems the most reasonable, is that wave 3 is the biggest wave. So obviously this has to be wave 4, this triangle, for this to be, I'm sorry, wave 5, but wave 3, there's a wave 3 in here. So it would be 1, 2, 3. I mean, if you're going to really do that Elliott wave stuff, this is a 3, or it is a C wave. Correction wave, so it's either like this, right? You have in a down, correction down, it'd be Elliott wave is A, B, C is the biggest wave. So this is A, and this is B, and this is C. Sorry, this is B. But see, they're not counting 0, right? There's 0. Before there's 1, there's 0. So this is Elliott 0, 1, 2, pull back 3. Now, the idea that this is going to come back at 618, yeah, it may come in a Fibonacci. Who cares? Are there Fibonacci's in here? Is this... Did you not get your ass kicked trying to cue your fib to every last known, huh? What? Dude, what? I mean, forget about it. You're asking too much at that point. If you're going to start throwing fib, the market's already given you its version of fib. Where did Fibonacci, this golden ratio stuff, I mean, you're going to tell me, well, Mother Nature has a golden ratio. Do you think Mother Nature gets up in the morning and says, let me get out my fib tool? No. Besides, if you really look at it, it's off. It's not a perfect. Okay, it's not. It's not exact. It's like, well, did you measure off and how accurate was your measuring device? And you're off into distortions already. And it's the piece of music that's being played, not how tightly you regulate. Besides, what's going to matter more to you than a 618 is $61.8. So if you're trading at $61.8 of risk, I would say, yeah, you're a Fibonacci trader. Like, and I'm looking to make 168. So I'm looking to make 100%, 200%, whatever that number is. But well, it's just so ridiculous. Anyways, I guess I got a little sidetracked there. Look at for the tops now. You could spend like a whole day just on this chart, I suppose, right? Here's a top. Did that become a bottom here? No, totally failed. Is there another internal structure from the last known bridge that was built? Okay, right here. Very big bouncing zone. This one, yes, because it's closer to the core of this cold rolled. This is like this looks like a hot rolled metal, and this is cold rolled, where it started to cool down and it really got, and then it just kept on getting more and more compression and whatever tension there is. Or let's say you spot welded this and then it cooled off, you got distortion. But you're trying to estimate the trajectory of distortion, or the trajectory of the so for here, the bulls, the people that were getting on or basically when I say people, I mean the strategy that would have been ideal possibly in this situation is that you're going to build a channel that's off of this and your target's here. And this is the reason why you just want to get the hell out of some of this, because that target was never met. And you could say, oh yeah, but it was up here. Oh, but I mean, you really want to stick around for, how about a half a year of this noise? So it takes quite a bit of, now, knowing what phase you're in here. Did the range traders, like if you had a range trading strategy, did you just not you're just like, I'm a genius, thank you very much, thank you for coming. Thing is, just before it left the station, here's the classic exit. Double top becomes a bottom. This was the first breakout. You're like, uh-oh. And then it comes back, but it plays this torture game. Now, this is a torture game for anybody on any time frame. If you're, I guess it's, well, if you have to love the torture, right? You need to kind of find tranquility in losing, or in risk. Once you find the tranquility in that, because you've chosen a size that doesn't matter psychologically to you, you've rationalized it against everything else in the world that you spend money on, like I'm going to buy this welder and start welding because for the price of hiring a guy for 1 hour, I could just buy my own welding gear and I can just start going into I can sit here and do welding art if I want. I don't have to be at the mercy of some lazy bozo that's like, well, I have a minimum fee of, I'm like, I don't even know if you can weld. You really think you're that good? Let's see what you've done. I probably better, right? I can learn in 1 hour. Like, who can't get the touchdown, right? If you don't have the manual dexterity, then yes, you're hiring people. I get that. Like my dad, he couldn't change the faucet to save he couldn't change a washer on a faucet. Real rich guy. didn't have, he just really had money for that. So he hired me for cheap labor to do that gig. I can do faucets. But I love 3D stuff, and if you love 3D stuff, you print these charts out, you draw them by hand, and you literally feel the market. And this is for all the liberals out there that want to trade and really feel like they're not going to be one of these damn I live on my tablet, the criticism that all these hot chicks are taking selfies. Well, good for them. I don't want to see ugly chicks doing that. But this criticism that, oh, people are on Facebook. You know what? This is the time. If it's kind of like the nerds. I'm supposing nerds resent that, or people that are like, yeah, but that's just really, oh, you're typing in caps. Listen, it's the cutest thing in the world. When I don't care. Like, I don't care if you type in complete swear words. If you're offended by that, you can't. But this is the one thing about trading is that you just can't believe. Like, you don't even want to tell people what you're doing because they'll. I guess it's just like you're robbing a bank. Okay. Let me just go to this one thing. I just see here now. Seriously, in the world, you print this chart out 5 times with no lines on it. Then get yourself a ruler and a pencil, and hopefully you can get some colored pencils and just start to connect the physical world to the digital world. The analog to the digital now, if you did any music recording, yeah, digital's great. But everybody's trying to get that softness of analog where, when you print something out and then you don't have to worry if your computer crashes or you delete the objects, so I'm constantly deleting everything on here just so in a jiffy I can jump in and go, oh, well, what's the most current trend line that matters? What I'm doing here is I'm actually back testing. And this is just, we don't have to run simulation on this to see these trades would work. I hope we don't. Like, if we have to do that, then we just need to stop trading. We're morons. If you can't see this thing, keep retagging it. Is that a good strategy to buy support and sell resistance? Of course, but if you do it with too wide a stop and too big a position, and you're like, well, I did what you said, I sold at the top, and just kept going up. Wow. Really? So you learn how to drive race cars, but then you bought 40 race cars, and 20 of them you weren't sure if they even had an engine under the hood. I mean, there's no, like, you cannot be that blatantly out of it. So once you get looking at it's cute because you see the Stapleton do this where he shows you these, well, the market went up, the market went down, but he never marks off as he's doing that. You should be able to mark off this top, the market went up, the market went down, the market went up, and where does this puppy come into with a 50 pip stop, with a 20 pip stop? Now, you could have scalped this in 1 week, and this is how I would trade if I was looking to wait 3 weeks to get filled on a ticket. Of course, this hopefully is a 4-hour chart for most people. I think that's where the money's at. Most of the big boys trade, but it's how you trade it, right? So if this was a 4-hour chart, or this is even the weekly chart, there are people that literally, and I can't imagine this, would put a buy stop here and say, well, when they pick me up, it's confirmed that we're still going up. Okay, great. That means you got to put a stop down here in breakout, classic breakout strategy of the most kind of crudest robot you could build in your life, of just bracketing the market, going whichever way it goes. That's high risk. But what if you bought, and I'm sure there's probably, this is the weekly, and I'm sure on the 4-hour chart there's something here, but what if there was nothing there and you just put a buy limit on here, hoping of all hope that they spike that puppy on the news, and you've got a buy limit here hoping that they come back, take out this bull because it's up, it's bullish. Then you've got a buy limit here because if they may never not make it back here, they may not ever come back here because they are like, this pullback is like, well, everybody knows this is a breakout, everybody's like, woohoo. And so what if What if some of these guys take profits? They're just scalps built into a window here. And then some of these guys are designed to come back into the previous low. The whole trade could be just that. That's the whole trade. Same here. Buy limits. That's the whole trade. Again, that's the whole trade. Again, that's the whole... Same on the sell side. Right? This thing's going like this. Oh, God. People are like, they can't wait to get in this puppy. And it did come back this time. They were able to... There was enough over-exuberance to the upside that we got this whiplash bash back to here. And you would have had buy limits here too that didn't get filled. Now here's where the laziness comes in. People aren't willing to place orders there. Now that's where Stapleton would have his orders. But he has one order. He never speaks about, well, you know what, pepper some in there, buddy. You think you're that good? You think you really know how far they can spike that puppy? Certainly I'm buying on limits after they fucking stop this guy out. So if I only bought from here to here, this window, I'm committed to buying that whole... I just commit to that. Are you ridiculous? Inside of that, there was instances where just because it looks like this doesn't mean inside there's not some 5-minute, 1-hour drama that happened inside that. Never forget, if this is a 4-hour period, inside there, it could look like anything. It could look like this. It could look like that. You don't know what's going on inside of that thing. In here, there's a whole world. People have made fortunes on just buying, coming back. Look at that. Look at that move. For God's sakes, man. You waited a long time. Now this is a 4-hour, 1-hour chart. I can do it. I can wait for that. Anyways, so where are we at now? You know, this is... you know these people are going to try to sell this, but you know they're going to get their ass kicked. Everybody's getting their ass kicked. But they're in the wrong time frame. So yeah, people are going to say, oh, you know what? Look at... It's in a downtrend. This is rallying a downtrend. Yeah. Okay, but you've got to figure out, you think they could go higher? Yeah, it could go higher. Sure. So where's the trade? Sell limits here on these wicks, right, for the scalp, the easy money. Get the easy money first. Pay for the risk of the whole world. You got a sell limit here with a stop here, you're going to get out here. Which means you're going to get out before you even come back to this last known top. We already know this is going to be, if this comes up, we know this is a doji. After the completion of that, that's got to be a doji. There's no other choice. It's like a chess game. When this thing pauses here, when this opens here and closes up, this is already established. This can be a revisiting zone. It's already been painted out there. And sure, they came flying back. This is why you're buying that whole zone. Just like here. You bought this whole wick zone, you buy this whole wick zone. In fact, this is a juicier trade because you could have put, and you could also, it would never put a buy stop at the top of a weekly bar, but you could put a buy stop here. When the market's here, that is a killer trade. Imagine you have a buy stop here, and the market's here. When this thing comes rocketing back up, you're in before the breakout. I think they reopened down here lower, and they can't, if you put in too tight a stop, you can see where it opened and smashed back. So you can't see the hashtag entry here of the open, which is the candle's too much for me. Bad enough we got this hash mark here, but because you really want to think more in terms of that's a top, and here just barely filled that puppy. Here, perfect on close and perfect on the sell limits. They're here. But sell limits here? Nah, they're going up here. We're going to go up and dick around up here, obviously. Here, buy limits for sure. Here, buy limits for sure. All day long, all week long, all month long. This is retarded stuff. Nobody should be losing. Nobody should not be able to see. That is a big deal, that price. And look at that entry here. Trading's vertical. You're not making money this way. unless you're an options trader waiting for the decay of the premium, and you wrote an option and you're waiting for that poor sucker that bought hope for that to decay. You're like, yeah, you looks like you thought it was going to go somewhere. It didn't go nowhere. It played rope-a-dope for 300 pips every week on your brain. Okay. Oh, I think it's going to go up. Well, yeah, who doesn't? And they're going to sell here. But what if it consolidates here and it can't hold on because it weighs too much? And everybody's buying here. Oh, yeah. Tops become bottoms. Whoosh. Of course. Too much sideways. It weighs too much. Structurally, this is the rust spot. This is the when you, if you were to cross-section a bad casting, a bad bridge, you're going to see a hot spot. You're going to see a place that, you know what? This is a stress point. And the thinness here, the fact that this runs in and it creates a box and then it plunges and now it goes into this. It's a, these are the lugs, the rivets. This may be the big beam, like if you had a big beam here, but then you have to have these nodes. There needs to be anchors. That's what I'm trying to say. These are anchor points. These are pivot points for a monthly thing. You'd be like, wow, this is a big doji on the monthly or something, or this is a spinning top, or this is a hard body. They should have hard body candles. I'd be into that. But this is like what it's about. And then like say, oh, this is a hammer. Well, I call this the kitchen cleaver, actually. Kitchen cleaver trade. That's what we need to do is have like a whole website donated to. Well, this is the banana trade. It's kind of like, well, it's the upside down banana trade. The banana trade. I made a lot of money, but it's really how do you get in these things? Now, it does no good to sell in the middle here, and then I put my stop here, and they keep whacking me out, whack-a-mole. They're gonna rope-a-dope you. It's gonna hurt. You're gonna get a bruise on your nose. I don't know if I'm helping, but I think it's obvious what we need to do next week, right? Okay, so here we're gonna buy low, sell high. So your buy limits here on the weekly is going to be about here for the bounce. I do think this thing is coming into now that the scalpers have already scalped out maybe on this. I'm going to have buy limits situated around that doji. Here's the bottom. Is that important? Yeah, because we just rejected it, blew back, come back here. But we're probably just going to play dumb games now here, right? Here, I'm definitely got sell limits here for the easy money, the scalp back to here. Buy limits on here, right? Buy limits here, sell limits here. This should just jump out at you. In other words, when you come up to the screen, you should be like, yeah, I'll buy down here. I'll buy down here. You shouldn't have a second thought of just laying in a 100 pip grid. Who wouldn't just put a buy limit here? Does this look like a great... Was this the best triple to become a... Come on, was this the best? Was that the best? Yeah, they were amazing. Not to say the counter trend trades weren't amazing either. Coming back here, unbelievable. A lot of participants here, a lot of structure of high probability. Definitely a buyer here coming in to this. This is a perfect setup, just like this one. British pound. Okay, so what was the perfect setups here? And let me just start over from scratch just for a second, and then I'll let everybody go about their business. So what it is here, let's queue these up and just keep it simple. Delete everything, start over from scratch, and so if you printed this stuff out, that's the reason why you print it out, so you don't have this problem of what did I just do? Now, in the perfect world setup, it was like this in the British pound. This doesn't get much better than this. You break out, you pull back, you find support here. You have this in line 2. This is the confluence where you have two things in your favor. and you have a top bottom on a momentum top bottom here. So you have the trifecta. This is when you go to the horse track, right? Amazing. Now, the targets, you could have gotten out already on just, the target coming up to this line. And you would have got filled on that, and you'd be out of the trade right now if you were a single position trader. That trade's over. Because if your limit was sitting on that line, you got filled, and it didn't close there, but you got filled. You're out. And you also might have just gotten out on the sheer fact that your target was based on this top retest. So maybe you got out on one here, and then the other one, and this is why each strategy would have its own exit, or each concept, because, well, this is based on. And then here's the greedy projection, is that we're building this new channel, and we're going to project off of this top. We're eventually going to go up that stairway to heaven. That's the most optimistic view of this geometry. So you didn't get filled on that. You didn't get filled on your target exit there, but you did on this one, and you did on this one. The conservative exit was just to get it on the damn retest of just that top structure. On this one, it would have been the trap trade of, okay, there's obviously people think that's the big breakout, and they're like, woohoo, great. And a lot of people are trapped on the breakout of like, look at, we're going through this top. Well, it's just nothing but a trap. It's in an uptrend based on, now your channel, if you're waiting for the perfect entry, it's going to look like this. You copy this over, you've blown through that. It's not doing that. It's not in this channel. You're stopped out. Maybe you've bought into this bottom here. Also, you're wrong. It's still got to come back. Doesn't matter, because you if you're short and you started buying into this now to try to say, well, I'm going to maximize, okay, you made so much money on that top, hopefully, plus you got like I said, you've got 20 pip stops, 30, 40, 50, 100. You're out of like half your position, and here you're stopped out of all these tickets. And let me see how much pips that would have been. So you're down about, now if you had a 20 pip stop, you're blown out. You just lost your 20. And I don't even know if there's any bounces in here. You can't see the internal structure there. So your scalps might have taken their 40 pips and got the hell out. And as the market's, this is like you're really looking at this market doing what it's doing now. We don't know the inside story of this. I'm sure there was because I could see it opened here, so I know they came back to this before they plunged it again. So that was the inflection point for the sellers. Another place to start to project a momentum internal structure point is to take this peak to this bottom and look for a landing area here. And of course, buy limits just beyond here to trap the bears into thinking, oh, this thing's just going to go to par. It's just going to go down really? Look at this thing. Come on. It's going sideways. Who cares? Who cares which way it's going? I'm always going to buy down here for a bounce, and I'm always going to sell up here for a plunge. Always going to sell high, buy low. Right now, you're back to fair value. You're coming back to a really great setup. If you think about the market's going to build its own structure eventually here. Here's another great inflection point. So if you have something to hang the struts off of, here's the argument that it's done, it's over, it's baked, put a fork in it. When it crossed through that doji turn down here, problem is this is real fast move down. And all these fast moves down are answered by a fast move up, and that's why 80% of the market's just up and down. The answer to the question, like when it's like this, it didn't. When I first saw stuff like this in any market, I just said, "Holy God in heaven!" And then it was answered by this retrace, and I guess you could put all your fibs on there, but I can tell you right now, it's not a perfect fib. And a lot of people would just love to have sold here. The guys that bought here, when it comes back up, they're like, uh-oh. I mean, who doesn't want to lose this much as compared to this much? And the banks aren't trading with stops, so when the bank's wrong, and the idea that these banks are, this thing like, well, the banks are wrong. Just like there's people in there, people. That is the whole thing about it's rigged and the big bankers. I'm like, well, you can see everything that's going on here. It's called volatility. Up and down, up and down, up and down. Constantly. It's a gold mine for us little people. You don't want to be as big as this bank. I mean, yeah, sure, they don't trade with stops, and they are the market, and they're holding on. They're buying. They start buying here. They're probably accumulating right now. This is like a big either distribution or it's accumulation. Well, it looks like still accumulating, still trapped in this zone. Maybe it is distribution for a big plunge, and we're going to go down to like 80 cents. But how would that matter to the guy that last year all he did was range trade? Last year. Right, 2015, and this is what these guys are complaining about over at Disempowered Trading. It's a bad year for us last year. Market didn't do what we expected. Yeah, these trend traders are expecting this stuff. But the guy that can make money on this crap, let's get him going. Let's get this guy trading. And if that was a 1 hour chart, 4 hour chart, amazing. Great, just great flexibility to be able to buy and sell like that. Zero bias. But here you can be more plotting on the weekly, the daily. This is a daily chart, but the weekly's definitely big money. Like people are just like they're bidding this down so hard right now. Look at this doji through this. Look at this inflection point. You could come back to that. You could do anything. But you know, horizontally speaking, without these fancy Gartley things I have here, this is what it's all about. These internal rivet points, these nodes, this is where the building's going to fall to. When you see these buildings fall down, you know, the basement floors, there's not enough momentum left in this building falling down to even do any damage down here. This is why it gets so choppy, quiet, wacko. And look at this as the footings of the building here. This under bottom here is revisited here. This is a big deal. The fact that you created a congestion node here, a big pivot rivet, right here is the deal. This is what it's all about. And that's completely a world of like, you know what? We just moved in here, and we're just moved into this trailer park, and we really like it here a lot. Uh-oh. They found out we're living here. Let's get the hell out. It's classic. So we had to come back to the trailer park. Now, there's a lot of money to be made in the trailer park. Don't dismiss that. Well, it gets hit by tornadoes, yeah, because it's just sitting duck here. But the tornado comes and blows. If you know which way that wind's blowing out of this trailer park, oh God, you're making money. Here is the last. Now the rest of this is the apex of the trailer park right here. We revisit that. So totally can come back here. What a buy for a bounce to here. And the greedier exit's going to be by the bounce till it gets to here. You got buy limits here. Duh. All next week, all next month, all next year. This is what it is. You just literally got, I'll buy every 100 pips every day of the week. Down. I got a 20 pips stop. I'm looking to make 30. That should just be a button you press, and it just lays in grids. Because I'm telling you right now, and it doesn't matter. It could be laying them in at the 80 handles. It doesn't matter. You want to buy low, you sell high. The ratios are tight. Just forget about it. Stop trying to predict, guess, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, you can get out these geometry things, but at the end, you got to have trades that are literally like, we never thought that would sell. Do you know how many famous... Look at any famous musician or any popular music, they're going to tell you, we thought that song sucked. The people bought it up. You can't even, Van Morrison doesn't want to play Brown Eyed Girl. I don't blame him. It's like so sophomoric compared to his other jazzy stuff. But, people, we love that dumb, silly stuff. We love these cheesy songs. We love these cliche setups. You just have to not be in denial. This is a big deal, this pivot. It's a big deal, that price. And just keep hemming and hawing on that thing. Picture this thing coming down in here. Visualize this. You print this on paper. And another thing you do, okay, last thing. When you print these puppies out, print this chart out 100 times if you have to, or go to the copy machine if you don't want to kill your... The ink costs more than the printer. So go black and white on your printing and tell these people trying to sell you color ink, which you should be able to make that at home by now. I don't know what the formula is. I'm into home remedies, I'm into just leaving. I'm over it. I quit. I want the stock market to crash too, but it's not. I mean, I want the world to come to an end. That would be entertaining as hell, but it's not. But in the meantime, let's make some damn money in these markets. Come on, people. If the market's going up, it's going up, it's going up. We just can't do anything about it. But we can position ourselves for the psycho spikes when everybody says, oh, the dollar's doing this. I'm like, oh my God. The contrarians are making all the money. The trend followers, it's the burning match theory, the last guy to hold the match. But when you print out this chart and you take a pencil and you start to speculate with your hand, well, it could go here, it could go there, you're going to see real quickly. And never forget, the market will never go here. It will go there in price only this way. So you're only drawing out into the future. Now, the rate of change, you're going to see if every possibility from this point on. And the nice thing about it, when you do it with your pencil, it's going to hit you real hard and right in your core, the text, the context of your nervous system connected to your brain. You're going to put it all together in that moment, and that will be an aha moment where you say, yes, it is possible for all these scenarios. What am I going to do about it? How can I position myself to catch the ball in the field? And a lot of, with these tennis players, when somebody serves to them, they're already returning in their mind. They're not waiting to see the ball because their eyeballs running behind their reflex. They're already onto it. They're not waiting to see it. Same thing, this can get you in trouble in trading a little bit because if you over anticipate an entry, you're going to get in at the wrong price. You're getting it too early. But we all know where this thing's going. The problem is that for me, if I feel like I've missed the premium entry being a perfectionist, unless I drop down to the smaller time frame, I don't bother with it. Drop down to the smaller time frame, it's like you just got out of your car and you just jumped into like you're driving a big truck and now you're driving a sports car. The moment you get into it, you're going to have to think about, oh, the clutch is engaging earlier, the threshold of the clutch is tighter, unless you're used to flexing back and forth between these two time frames, you're not going to have the atmosphere has changed around you. Now you can't adjust. And if you're risking money and you're crapping your pants, that's not helping. So to plan this stuff out as you come into next week, and all this nonsense about, well, the markets are this and it's the holidays, it doesn't matter. It's better, right? Because structures are structures, bridges are bridges, and when they rot out and they are overstressed and they're over cantilevered, when you take a bridge and there's only so much suspension, and there's a limit. And markets have a limit. They're not going to go down forever. And a lot of things, when they depeg a currency and it goes down and spikes like that, the response is immediate. Just look at dollar Swiss. And, if that was a 5-minute chart, people would blame that on algorithmic trading. Look at this, the robot. No. It's order imbalance. This has been going on for thousands of years. Order imbalance. Do you remember the tulip thing? Come on. Does anybody remember stamp collecting? People had millions of dollars in their stamp collection, and then it was only worth the face value. You think gold can't go to $500 an ounce? And everybody's like, oh, it's they trade sideways. Yeah, they're printing money. Who cares? We live in the wealthiest time of our lives. It's never been better. Look at all the people making money on clickbait, on telling us that things are bad when they're actually good. It's hilarious. Even when they're bad, they're good. Listen, if you're in the used business, somebody's making money when the market's on the other side. The thing you can do in Forex that you cannot do in the real world is you cannot go from owning a dry cleaner in the morning and owning a car rental in the afternoon. But you can do that in Forex. You can say, I'm over on the New Zealand dollar, now I'm in Europe. Not a lot of people can do that. And so it takes a little bit of, you really have to treat everything as if it's a separate category, and this is about organizational skills, which I don't have any. So that's kind of a hindrance for me. I'm very much into the possibilities of what could happen and what typically happens, and I'm into the quick and dirty money. I just want to hit it and quit it, so I don't want to get married to any of these markets like, I've been in the euro for 6 months, I wish it would go my way. That's like all the bad marriages I've had where I'm like, God, someday she's going to actually say something I want to hear. I'm 3 years with her, and no, still waiting. I mean, not that she's ugly, not that she is that terrible a person, but there's always that part of you waiting to be satisfied by what you think should happen or is going to happen. And in the market, that's tough because, that should be going up. I mean, this country is printing so much money. Why is their currency going up? It doesn't make any sense. And that's why I have a big problem with the fundamentals. Not that the fundamental thing that's holding the bridge up is the land that it's. In other words, the fundamental in the bridge analogy or metaphor, the bridge structures are bridges in the market's nothing but a bridge. That the fundamentals would be who's driving on the bridge and why is the bridge even there? Like, why does this bridge exist? Is there a need for that bridge to exist? Fundamentally, that's true, but it does not change the way that bridge collapses and the way it's constructed. The way they build that bridge and the way that bridge falls apart is the market. Fundamentally, there's a reason for the bridge. There's a reason for that big run in the market. But if that's only responsible for that big spike and then the market has to consolidate, how does that fundamental news matter now? Okay, that's what shocked the market. But this is like measuring this Kardashian girl's the width of her ass. It doesn't matter. Are you with her? Are you with this spaz or not? Are you with this psycho babe or not? So that's why the fundamental are the fundamental. Well, you have to pay attention to fundamentals. Why? You're a bridge builder. Do you care why this bridge needs to be built? Anyways, that's my 200 pips, and I just really, I don't know, man. This stuff is not complicated. And I don't know if I showed all the entries for next week, since I don't have a signal service other than just like blockhead. Like, yeah, my signal service is next week. Buy everything 100, 203 pip pendings. Put those orders in for 3 days, walk away. That's my trade recommendation. And put in tight stops. Works every time. That's a go-to program if you don't want to draw these stupid lines in. Just mark off this. We know we want to buy this. We know we want to buy horizontally. We want to buy this. This was a good buy last time. It was a big trap. This was the doji entry here. This was the unbelievable entry of the year on the weekly. This wick came into that doji. You had a buy limit on the top of that, plus you knew you could have a buy limit at the bottom, which gives you a body entry as opposed to, this is a way tighter. This is like as good as it gets without any type of extra. The only extra you could put on this is, and of course when you do this, you're getting a little bit, dare I say, Gartley-ish, which, not really. Top becomes a re-inflection point. On the limits only, not on close. It did not stay there. It didn't structurally hang out there, but you can see your fills. This was your internal, as the bridge is collapsing, or this is the basement levels, and then just keep stringing this off of that, and you'll see as it rolls around. Any place you can connect the dots, any place is good, and it works all day long. Here's a double bottom, which becomes the pivot here. It's also the double bottom becomes a top, and then becomes a bottom again. Ricochets, we're plunging through that, and you can see this entry is being filled right now. If you're buying on this inflection point, this one, it wouldn't be filled unless it came all the way back in here, and horizontally you would be have a buy limit here naturally just because of this bottom. But you can see it's coming into the trap. You want to build a trap. You want to trap these markets like you're trapping wild animals. You have a buy limit here next week. So through this whole thing, as it spills down into this, and I'm sure if you really stretch your fib tool out, you're going to see this is the 38, this is the 50%, this is the 618 from here, here's the 1.4, blah, 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 right? But in the end, it's like, well, did I put a 20K in here and hand place a bunch of singles to scalp to here, or did I just get in there like a hog and just buy at the market? Tomorrow I'm just buying a standard lot market. I'm going to push stop down here, my target's up here. Yeah, right. That's maybe a little bit sloppy, a little lazy. Be realistic, right? If you're really going to get long this puppy, and this is just easy. Well, this thing, come on, range trade this thing. Who cares? You got a buy limit sitting here. You're going to scalp to here, obviously. Your stops here. Okay, that's next week, one order trade. But you also got the buy limit here with the same strategy. Same risk. Buy limit here. Maybe you got a stop here and buy limits all the way to here. And your exit's going to be here. So you're going to gather up this. You're going to gobble up this whole thing. You're going to trap all these animals. You're going to corral them. Just like you did here. So your buy limits start here. You start to gobble them up. You know that's coming into this inflection point. You got all these reasons to place orders. You just print it out, draw it by hand, then come back to the chart, find the same spots on the chart, and once you connect the analog to the digital world, like certainly the best of both worlds, you record an analog, right? Because you're not going to sing digitally. You have a real voice. Now, how do you hit it? What do you hit after that? Are you going right to digital, or are you going to go to analog and actually cut real tape or actually edit when they came out with non-destructive edits where you could record on a hard disk and just go, you know what, I'm just recording, you lost the perspective of something like the ticker tape coming out of the old machines, this perspective of it's coming at you and you can only read the next fortune cookie, you know. This kind of, it's all happening from top down, boom, hard disk recording, you know, when you record these files, they could be like, if your hard drive is really fragmented, these things could be all over the place. Now that you cannot do that in the analog world. And as the chart unfolds and the market plots, it's an analog market. You can dissect it digitally with digital moving average and stuff like that. And you could throw all that Ikamushu digitalis on there, which is really like running, you know, like reverb chambers and choruses. I mean, obviously, offsetting a moving average is just it's like putting a digital delay on your guitar. Sounds better, but tough to tune the guitar. And when you're trading, I feel like you really want to start off with the raw data. And if you really want to extrapolate or speculate, sure, start drawing trend lines. But man, you know, it's just I don't know if that makes sense, but you could get lost. You could get lost in all that stuff. Here's a dollar CAD. Wow, what a serious trend here, you know. But yeah, that was the classic breakout, pulled back. Oh, of course the sellers are coming in here. Absolutely. So if you had the brains to put your sell them in here, you totally bagged that puppy for like 200 pips on Friday or this week. What's the next trade? Or what was the trade you missed here? Was your buy limit is here, shebango. What's the next entry point? I would just buy for, come back to fair value for a scalp. Just come here. I'll buy limit here all next week. Buy limit on this top. You need dumb reasons. Another top, buy limit. Could we come down and sweep through here? Trap, sweep the leg? Yeah. Why not? I can't wait to place orders down here. We're gonna get out here. We're gonna scalp that puppy. We gotta make money. Not gonna be like, oh well, I got a buy limit here for no. This is a weekly chart. I'm not gonna come back here for a couple, maybe 6 months. Maybe 2 months. You want to wait 2 months to get paid? Not even get paid to get in, and then you're like, well, it's gonna come all the way to here. It's in an uptrend, Jake. Can't you see that? Actually, you know, that's the speculation that, no, I can see this on a 1 hour chart. Yeah, here's the trend line. If it comes back to the sweet spot, revisits this cluster. Oh, yeah. Who couldn't see this? Now, you could paint that scenario. Yeah, it's going to go this. And why aren't people doing, when they do that thing, they always go, well, the market's going to do this. It's going to come, I'm going to get in here. And it, like, really? Like, okay, so the market's just going to go like this. I love that one. You really don't think it's going to go like, I can do anything. Come on. I don't know. But you have to feel it out for yourself, what you can tolerate as far as pip risk. And if you can only trade a certain size, it's going to matter. Here, obviously, it's the drifting down trend channel trader's dream. You keep on rebagging that puppy. So obviously you're going to buy down here again for a bounceola. I bought this bounceola off of this double bottom. You sell off of this top. You were filled last week on that. I mean 2 weeks ago, right? You sold that for that. So, all right. I think I've gone far enough. Just trying to describe what I think about this stuff. Just because was always perplexed in the beginning because I thought there was a magic formula. And when it came down to the sad fact of reality that the market is so crude that you kind of have to be as crude as the market, like that Caddyshack. You got to be the ball, when you're the market. And because the market's chaotic and the market's unpredictable, that is not something that's socially acceptable. So that is definitely a big rub. That's a problem, and that's definitely one of those friction points, and that can get in the way of trading if you really want this to be some type of official sport. I mean, like the rules are like it's something you can count on, when it's more about you can count on not counting on it. But definitely you can kind of see here that, well, obviously I like to buy. I would sell here, which I sold that 100 pip handle there. I know I sold here, but there's not a lot. For me, the sell's up here. The sell hasn't come yet because I'm a contrarian. The buy, to me, this is the buy. This guy is starting to, and if the dollar yen is probably going to keep going up because I know a lot of people are like, well, it's going to just keep going. I think it's over. It's going to just keep going down, man. Look at. Okay, I'll buy it right here at this thing. Right there looks like a good spot. But yeah, you always gotta figure this is gonna be killer if it comes to here, because you can draw this one out real easy. This is not hard stretch to imagine this market coming down to here, trapping the bears, and then weaseling out to this, and your exit's gonna be up on that. Not hard to imagine it coming down here for this scenario. Comes down here, comes back up. There, back up. Here, retests here. I'm going to start buying everything from here down. And maybe it's too late. I have to buy right now when the market opens here. Definitely buying everything as this plunges back into here. This guy's already off the races. If you didn't get in here, I wouldn't chase it. I'd be looking to go trade this in range trade mode. Here, obviously, there's going to be a real big deal here. But I'm always going to get that first scalp out of the gate, put in the retest, guys, the retest orders. It's just goofball. It's all goofball stuff. Get a crayon out, and you just see how goofy this really is. It's child's play. Problem is, adults are trying to make money. 90% of traders lose, 95% of traders lose because they don't have a beginner's mind, they don't have a childlike mind, and they're so serious because, I'm a professional trader, and I have books. I must have thrown out like $1,000 of books. I'm like, okay, I read the book. You know what? What I was looking for was that one book where you opened up and it said, here's what you do. And even if it said that, as stubborn as I am, I wouldn't trust that there's no way. I'd be like, I have to drive that car. If you tell me that car is okay and I get in it and it rides like hell, I don't care what Consumers Reports say. I'm like, you know what? It's a wet noodle. I feel unsafe in that car. So I'm not going to drive that car. Thank you very much. Thank you for asking. This is dropping way too fast. So this is going to be my ripest entry. This was the big trap here. That when I was doing this was the big trap here. They rode it all the way here. They trapped these guys. Now they pull it back to fair value, a little bit below. But fair value is actually not dead center here. It's down in here. So coming back into this, these are easy buys. I think this guy's had it up into here. There's going to be a lot of sellers. If you connect these dots, this is a perfect window entry. This is the perfect corresponding inversion of this, because these guys typically run inverted. And here, dollar CAD is always gonna. I think it's gonna be rangy. It's gonna go in. It looks like it could go up here, though. They definitely could kill these Canadians. I mean, this big move here. But the problem is, it's 80% consolidation. Never forget. So be prepared for small targets. Don't get greedy, and you know, the swing traders. On this weekly chart, you could make quite a bit of money in 2 to 3 weeks or one day. And because these wicks, some of these wicks lasted one day. And I'm sure this is one day here. Down here, you barely see on this entry here. That's probably like a one-day smash to here. You're out. It's over. So next week, that's going to be... The one-day trades are coming up here where it's just like, oh, you just popped down, created a wick. Doesn't mean you can't get on a retest, because there's always you could always remarry the same girl like 3 times in these markets. It's not like the real world where, oh, that's never going to happen. You know, you just keep getting divorced, and you can just have amazing makeup sex, basically. And this is what these kind of trades are, is look at this thing. Come on, constantly coming back to pick you up. Like, sure you don't want to take another ride north? And here's your second opportunity. Here's your first. You made 200 pips. You come back. Oh, yeah, I'll get in. It sounds like, yeah, that's a great restaurant. Let's go back there. And there you go. Anyways. So can't wait till tomorrow night, and don't trade during the holidays. Oh my God, I can't wait till the market opens. But maybe I'm a trading addict. There could be an issue there.